Workers are more stressed than ever. In fact, stress in the workplace reached an all-time high last year for the second straight year. Why? What's responsible for this uneasy feeling? Today, we're joined by Professor Sunmi Hwang. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Sure. So, according to Gallup's latest State of Global Workplace report, stress in the workplace reached an all-time high last year for the second straight year. Why such depressing figures for 2 years in a row?
Oh, in the last 2 years, we had a COVID-19 pandemic and we still have it. That means many of us survived from global financial difficulties, the fear of job losses, and also we had to adapt to the sudden changes to online working environment as we are doing right now. These situational reasons could add to the stress for the last 2 years, but difficulties at work have always been an important stress for people, which means work is a really important matter to human beings. We tend to be sensitive to problems that we consider are most valuable to us. Workplace stress is a typical example, as well as family relationships. We all want to express ourselves from work and we want to achieve from it. These can improve us and at the same time, it can stress us out.
Right, we do spend much of our time at work, not in our bed. So that's definitely the reason why. And also pandemic has played a crucial role in really upgrading that stress level, right?
Right.
Then let's talk about it by region. Workers in North America and East Asia were particularly more stressed, and stress among people in Türkiye was the highest, and the stress level here in South Korea came to 40, which is slightly lower than the global average. Let's talk about these figures.
I also read Gallup's latest findings, and what was interesting for me was that North America and East Asia had both high stress level and high employee engagement at the same time. Of course, high is a relative term compared to other regions. Employment engagement in Europe and Central Asia was 13% and 15% respectively, while North America was 31% and South Asia was 33%. The engaged level in East Asia, including Korea, was also higher than in Europe. Of course, the exact correlation between the two variables can only be found when research is done, but there seems to be some effect between workplace-oriented culture and work-related stress. And of course, differences in welfare levels between countries will be another impact.
Right, definitely. Maybe the hours that we here in Korea spend at work has definitely played a role in that stress level, maybe.
I think so, yes.
Now that you've mentioned the work engagement, only 23% of workers around the world say they are engaged in their work, meaning they're dedicated and focused on their job. Then why high stress and low work engagement?
Yes, we really need to look at this issue deeply and seriously, I think. I think it's the right time to redefine the concepts involved in work. Work is important to people, and this fact is not going to change. However, the commonly used concepts in work psychology, such as job, aptitude, career, value, these are all changing. For example, in traditional workplace, the roles of employers and employees were fixed, but now there are more people working alone. So let's say when we call a person a low engaged worker, it can mean that he's less committed to the job he's hired for, but he could be committed to his newly defined career. I believe we live at a historical moment to go beyond the traditional concept of work, and we need to consider which activities we should call work or workplaces.
Right. Concepts and definitions of work and workplaces are constantly evolving, especially after the pandemic years.
Yeah, I really agree to that to you.
Is work stress something that we have to live with for the entire life? I mean, how can we as individuals manage all the stress, tension, and the pressure in daily settings?
I worked as a team manager in the startup's in-house counseling service before. And what I realized back then is that most people want to do their job well and want to be recognized by others. We all do that. That's why it causes us pain when work doesn't go well. And if we call this pain of work a work stresses, then yes, I agree that work stress is something we have to live with. As a mental health professional, one tip I can offer is that we better to distinguish whether workplace stress comes from a company's systematic problems or from personal characteristics, because we often confuse those two. Recently, many companies have set up counseling services to create a supportive working environment. And I hope there will be more such workplaces because employees can feel secure and protected when they know that company really cares about their personal feeling and their personal difficulties. And I've witnessed it through many cases that this sense of security can really actually reduce stress level and increase productivity at work.
Right, maybe defining and dissecting the origin of the stress that we get from the workplace may be one way to get to know about our stress and maybe lift the burden off at work.
Sure, sure.
All right, Professor Hwang, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me again. Thank you.